Now, good morning, Mark. Thanks for coming on this morning.
Morning, guys.
Happy times right now for the for fans of the Buffalo Bills, and what a win over San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, they played their most complete game of the season thus far, and ran the ball especially well. I mean, had been running it pretty well late, but ran the ball especially well against a little bit of a depleted San Francisco defense, and without Navarro Bowman, and I mean that creates some problems for them inside, and have guys that, not for lack of desire certainly, but haven't been playing particularly well on the defensive side of the football. San Francisco hasn't been. And Colin Kaepernick got escaped a few times, which he's apt to do in a game because he's so athletic. But they pretty much kept him contained and saved that the lone play to Torrey Smith, who it was a blown coverage by the Bills. They really kept him under wraps offensively pretty well, particularly in the second half.
Yeah, and just keeping track of a little of the Kaepernick thing. The fans really seemed to give it to him early on with the chanting of USA. As he brought his protest into Buffalo on Sunday.
Yeah, and I don't think. I think Buffalo fans are pretty intelligent, or Bills fans particularly, and I think they were more concerned about his athletic ability and his quarterback ability, and the opportunity to defend them and win a football game, as opposed to all the other things surrounding that situation. But it was a good atmosphere, and I don't think too much was made of it. He seemed to interact pretty well with the Bills players, and particularly before the game. And again, I don't think it was really a non-story. And it was a little bit that happened prior to the game, but nothing that was distracting from the task at hand.
How about first of all, a scary moment for Bills fans when McCoy went down, and it looked like he had twisted a knee or something bad had happened. I mean, everybody was on edge at that point of the game.
Yeah, a collective sigh of relief when he was on the sidelines moving around and cutting and jumping up and down on that knee, because when it first happened, everybody was like, "Oh my goodness, this can't possibly happen now." And I saw a replay on it, and it was a clean tackle by I can't recall who made the tackle at the moment, but it was a clean tackle by the linebacker, and it looked like maybe their leg or maybe their shin contacted his shin right below the knee. So I think it's kind of like when you run your shin into a piece of metal or into your car or into the curbing, and it just hurts like crazy. So I think that was the initial reaction, and some people thought it was a knee, but it did not seem to be. And I don't know what the resolution was in that regard. If in fact it was the shin. But he didn't show any ill effects once he got back in the game. So he was dynamic the entire game.
They just couldn't stop him. What a performance he had.
Yeah, and he'd give the credit to the offensive line, and Jerome Felton, played a great game block. I mean, everybody does. I mean, those guys, Bills, when I'm looking at teams week to week, you kind of, one of the things you want to assess is, are their receivers willing blockers in the running game? Because if you have guys at the tight end position and the receiver position that can block and are willing to block for the running game, then I think you have an opportunity to have a really productive running game. And LaShawn McCoy doesn't need much. I mean, he only needs a sliver to make something out of nothing. And he was getting some really good push with the offensive line and some great holes down the field as well. Guys just sealing off potential tacklers, and that was creating great space for him. So it was a comprehensive offensive effort.
How about Taylor? I thought he had a really good game. He stepped up when he had to step up, and once again he can scramble and get away from the defenders like nobody. I mean, it's impressive right now.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I mean, there was one time he didn't pull the trigger that I was, and I don't. It's easy for me to say because I have a much higher perspective, and I could see Charles Clay come free in the back of the end zone, but he didn't pull the trigger on that one. He kind of saw a jersey color in the area. I thought he was going to do that, and then he ended up scrambling downfield and creating some yardage with his feet. But he has tremendous ability, improvisational ability, and that's going to continue to be part of his game. But you like to see him get rid of the ball just a little quicker in certain situations. But certainly I thought he played really well. And in the pass to Justin Hunter, that he just laid out there for him was a beautiful throw. I mean, I think his game continues to improve and progress. And again, people are saying, people talk about, well, is he the quarterback of the future? I really believe he is, and you got to remember he's only played 20 games, but and he's still getting really comfortable with the offense as well. And there's been a lot of fluctuation at their receiver position with the injuries that Bills have suffered. So I think he's been playing at a high level. The entire offense has really stepped up their game here these last 4 weeks, and hopefully it will continue.
Talking to Mark Kelso of the Buffalo Bills, Manaski.
Yeah, one of the things I really like about Taylor, and we're kind of talking about this a bit, is that he can run, but he doesn't. I see this with a lot of other quarterbacks who can move. It becomes like the first option, where he'll sit back, he'll look, and then if he has to, he'll scramble out of the pocket, and he's very, very quick, as Mark was just saying.
Yeah. Negatives. What did you see on Sunday?
Well, hey, it's never as good as it is on film, and it's never as bad. So when you're San Francisco, and I was talking to those guys, and they're saying, well, should San Francisco fans be really upset with their team? I know I'll have to get their Bills in a second here, but should they be upset? Well, no, it's never as bad. I mean, they've got some things to work on, but certainly have some real talent on that roster as well. But the Bills, they're going to look at that and say, there are some plays we left on the table. There are some things we did defensively that we need to clean up here. We try to read that cluster formation when you have three receivers together, and they try to read it with Mikael Roby, Stephon Gilmore, and Ron Darby, and it was a misread, and Torrey Smith was down the kind of outside the hash, but in a position where the safety wasn't able to get there either. So that was a situation that they've got to clean up, and more of a communication situation than an efficiency or execution situation. So they just need to clean those things up. There are certain things. There are a couple times. I mean, they defended the quarterback read really well, but there are a couple times when somebody jumped inside or you don't play exactly the responsibility that you have, and then it results in a big play by the offense. So I think, if they really focus, and it sounds like they are when you listen to post-game interviews, if they really focus on the things that has enabled them to turn this around from an 0-2 start to now a 4-2 situation, it's because of preparation on a daily basis and the way they feel like they're prepared, the way they communicate on game day, and then they're not beating themselves and not making mistakes, and that provides for a great opportunity on Sunday to win a football game.
All right, your thoughts on the upcoming Dolphins game?
Yeah, I haven't studied them a lot yet. I spent a lot of time last night looking at them on film, and from an offensive side of the football, I mean, they're impressive. I mean, they have some guys that can really play. They have some guys that can stretch the field offensively. Tannehill has a really strong arm, and sometimes not as accurate as he might need to be in certain situations, but really strong arm. And the running game went well last week against Pittsburgh, and I think their offensive line is really solid, which enables them to get a lot of guys out in the pattern and get their tight ends out in a position to make catches as well. So they're going to spread the entire field laterally, and then Ryan Tannehill, they're going to expect him to find somebody that's open. So from that side of the ball, it's challenging situation for the Bills, and how are they going to defend that offense and keep them from putting points on the board. And then offensively, I haven't even really looked at their defense much, but no, they have great talent. They've got good speed. They get guys up front that can rush the passer, so the ball's got to get out of Tyrod's hands pretty quickly. And again, that these last 4 weeks that have been predicated on a really strong running game, which opens up opportunity in a play-action pass game. And I'm sure there will be areas where they can attack. I mean, like I said, I haven't studied that yet, so I'm not sure exactly where they'll attack this team. But I'm sure they'll find some weak spot that they feel like they can try to take advantage of. And if that goes well and they execute properly, then that'll open up opportunities in the passing game. I
got to say, football is a lot much more fun when you're winning. It just is.
Well, you know what? That's what the one thing about the NFL. That's what makes the game so great. Is that if you don't play to your level of capabilities on game day, you're not going to win because the talent pool is so strong across the league that there's just not a lot of difference between a team that's won one game and a team that's won five. And so you've got to be at your best on game day if you want to win, and that's what makes it exciting.
Good stuff, Mark Kelso. As always, thanks so much.
My pleasure, guys. Have a great day.
And go Bills.
I want to correct something from yesterday. We were talking about the Bills' 4-game winning streak, and our man Davey was in. And I said, we said the last time the Bills won 4 games in a row was in 2008. They were 4-0, and I said that was when Ryan Fitzpatrick signed his huge contract, and they started. It was actually Trent Edwards who led the team to a 4-0 start. He got injured the next week, and then the wheels kind of fell off. But I just wanted to correct something I said yesterday.
Quarterbacks for the Bills.
Oh, my goodness.
Since Kelly. I mean, just list them off. I mean, it's been really something, huh?